So here we are at the American Muscle Series. This is going to be the drivers' meeting, and then we have practice at Sandown.
Who's watching golf?
I'm playing golf. Sorry.
Oh, you're playing golf.
Yeah.
And then in an hour is the practice session, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Is it in the leagues or hosted?
it should be under the league.
Okay, thank you.
How long's the practice session?
It's 2 hours.
Oh damn!
So we're just waiting for the guys to get started here for the American Muscle Series.
All right, I think everybody here is here that's going to be here. So welcome to the Season 3 preseason meeting. Sorry for the last minute call on this. I should have had this set up a long time ago. So I'm going to pull up the rules document real quick. I should have also had pulled up already. So most of the stuff is the same as last season. Code of conduct hasn't changed. Same thing for entry. The only big change, I guess, this season is the $10 entry fee, which I don't think that we have anybody left unpaid. Confirmed, nobody left unpaid, so we're good there. The format is going to be largely the same as last season. For the standard, every week we're going to have a 2-hour practice server on Sundays at the same time as the race server on Tuesdays. So, like somebody mentioned earlier, in 1 hour there'll be a practice server. It'll last 2 hours. I'm using realistic weather. So I'm getting the weather report for the day of the practice. So the day of the practice is today at the determined time of the race, which is 2 p.m. So today's weather at 2 p.m. in Melbourne sets the Sandown weather for the practice server. So the weather can and likely will change between the practice server and the race server, just like it would in a real life event. The race day session will typically be 2 hours long, with the double headers and the 60-minute races maybe being a little bit of variable length to accommodate the extra time. There will be a 1 hour and 10-minute practice session for the most races. The last 10 minutes of the practice session are reserved for the drivers' meeting. So as we approach that last 10 minutes of the session, I'll give a few warnings so you know that the meeting's coming up, and then I'll throw the checkered flag on practice. Everybody should make their way to the pits. Now, when I throw the checkered flag, if you've already started a lap, you're free to continue and complete that lap. And then once you cross the line, you can just pull off the racing line, stop the car, and reset to the pits. You don't need to drive all the way around or anything like that. The driver's meeting is a requirement. You do have to come to the driver's meeting. I do take attendance. And if you miss the driver's meeting without having let me know beforehand, for some reason you need to miss the meeting, you'll be forced to start from the pits. If you're going to miss the drivers meeting, please let me know beforehand. It's fine. I understand. Real life gets in the way sometimes. After the drivers meeting is over, I typically will let you have the track again, even though it's only for a couple more minutes. I would just advance the session manually, but we have a broadcast, so we have to time things there, and they're kind of going off of that time, so I don't want to start qualifying early before the broadcast is ready. Once the 1 hour and 10 minutes has elapsed, there will be a 10-minute lone qualifying session for most races. There will be a this will be different for Nords. We'll talk about Nords separately.
Yeah,
The
no
10-minute
drive
qualifying
ups long.
session is a lone qualifier. You have 3 laps. You can set up to 3 laps in that 10-minute time.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to be pressed for time in any of the tracks this season, so you should be able to easily get 3 flying laps in during that 10 minutes and probably still have time for an emergency pee before the race. The gridding will take place immediately after qualifying, and the race will commence from there. 40 minutes long for most races. A couple of weeks are 20-minute double headers, and a couple of weeks are 60-minute races. It looks like I need to update the rules document because I still have VIR in here, and that's not what we're running for one of the 60-minute races this season. So the two 60-minute races this season are at Barber Motorsports Park is the first one, and the second one is at the Nordschleife combined VLN layout. And I'm pulling the sessions up real quick just to make sure I don't say anything wrong here.
So most races are probably like what, 40,
So for
40 minutes?
Barber, we will be using the standard 1 hour and 10-minute practice with the 10-minute drivers meeting in the last 10 minutes of that. 3 laps, 3 qualifying laps, or over 10 minutes, lone qualifier, and then a 1 hour race. So that session will run a little longer than our normal 40-minute races will.
So
For Nordschleife, or for Nürburgring combined, it'll be slightly different. So I did a poll last season, and it seemed to work well. So instead of having an hour and 10-minute practice with a lone qualifier, because the lap is so long, you will have a 1 hour practice session. That instead of a practice session, it'll be a 1 hour open qualifying session. And then the race will last 1 hour. We'll start immediately after that. There's a long lag between the qualifying and the race. Once the checkered flag flies on qualifying, there's like an 8-minute hang up.
So that'll be the drivers' meeting
to let people that were on flying laps finish. And that hang up is when we will do the drivers' meeting. So
sounds good.
As we approach the end of the 1 hour qualifying session, I may verbally throw the checkered flag a little early, and instead of just saying if you're already on a lap you can finish it, I will find somebody on track that's going to finish at roughly the 1 hour mark and say, if you're this person or ahead, you can finish your lap, and if you're behind that person, you need to reset to the pits. 1 hour should be plenty of time for people to get a decent flying lap in, and it's a 1 hour race, so qualifying isn't hugely important for that race. So I think you'll have plenty of time to handle your business. We'll handle the drivers' meeting during that overlap, and then go straight to the race. For the 20-minute double headers, it'll be the standard 1 hour, 10-minute practice session with the drivers meeting in the last 10 minutes, 10-minute relap qualifying, There will be a 20-minute race after the checkered flag. On that race happens, there will be a 5-minute warm-up session to let you stretch, get a drink, reset, do whatever you need to do. And then race 2 will kick off, and the gridding time for race 2 is short, so make sure that you're ready to go for that second race. In that race, the top 10 will be inverted, and this means that if you finish first place in the first race, you will start 10th in the second race. If you finish second in the first race, you will start 9th in the second race. Some people thought that meant that the top 10 went to the back, and it's just the top 10 swapping positions. Qualifying, the scrutiny is set to the permissive level. This will prevent some gamesmanship, but will also not DQ you for spinning or something like that. We do have a rule that says drivers may not use the apron when qualifying at oval road courses. So if we determine that the apron was used in qualifying, a sportsmanship penalty will be given. This is pretty well defined, and whenever we get to those tracks, I'll speak specifically about those limits. Once the race session starts, cars will be gridded by qualifying results. There is no separation of divisions. If you're starting from the pits voluntarily or due to penalties, you must wait at no further than the pit exit line, which is the point where you no longer have a speed limit requirement. You may not pass that mark until the entire field is passed. Whenever we're doing our grid, we want to try to keep the grid as tight as possible. I understand that there'll be some slinky effect, particularly in some tracks that have some winding sections. The cars will spread out and then come back together. So you need to be on your toes that whenever we get closer to the end of the lap, there will be a compression. Cars will slow down in front of you, and we want to try to tighten the grid up as much as possible. If it's determined you're hanging back on purpose to get a speed advantage by jumping in the start, you'll be subject to penalties. During the pace lap, you should try to keep the radio clear of any non-essential chatter so that the stewards can give advice on grid positioning and tightening up and such. If a race session somehow accidentally gets turned into a standing start, I've seen this happen a few times where you have a bunch of league sessions created and they push an update and it changes them all from rolling start to standing start. Or if I just make a mistake and accidentally have one set to standing start and don't realize it, what we'll do is launch from that standing start like a formation lap does in F1. Maintain the grid through a virtual safety car controlled pace lap at a pace set by the leader, which will be coached by the stewards. And then at a certain point, the steward will call that the leader has control of the field and will do like a normal rolling start. This will unfortunately eat into race time, so we'll try to hopefully not have that happen. During the race, standard iRacing road racing rules apply, unless otherwise noted in the rules document. Overtaking, we talk about this every week. Overtaking, the primary responsibility is on the overtaking driver to make a clean pass. This does not absolve the person being passed from any responsibility. You still have to give room and race cleanly. Blocking is prohibited. If you're not sure what blocking means, there are a few videos out there on what blocking means in iRacing. Specifically here, any reactive move can be considered a block. The leading driver is allowed to run a defensive line, so you're allowed to move over to take the inside line, but you can't do that in reaction to somebody else. Sometimes there are moves that happen basically at the same time or close enough to be the same time that it can't be reasonably said to be a reaction. So sometimes it may seem like you're being blocked and it won't be. But if you feel like you're getting blocked, you can bring it up after the race with the stewards, or you can ask for an investigation. But as for blocking, it's probably best to look after, or to have it looked at after. Any contact that results in significant damage to another vehicle or significant loss of time or position will be reviewed somewhat real time by the stewards. If it was deemed avoidable, or if somebody can be clearly blamed for it, penalties will be assessed, typically a drive-through penalty. But these penalties may change race to race, and we always talk about during the drivers' meeting. Since pitting will be more of a common scenario this season, since we're limiting fuel on all of the 40-minute races, we do need to talk about pit road exits. So drivers exiting the pits have the right to race oncoming cars to the next corner, but they also have to maintain their line from the exit of the pits through the corner. If you swerve in front of an oncoming car in a blocking manner, that will be looked at with possible penalties. Now, if you're going roughly the same speed and you come across to open up the entry to a corner, that's completely fair. But if there's a huge speed difference and you come out of the pits, like at Monza for instance, if somebody was coming out of the pits and there was somebody coming up behind them down the straightaway, and as soon as they got clear of the line, they moved over in front of the driver coming, there's going to be a significant speed difference there that will probably be considered a block. On roval tracks, the oval portions, we're not allowing any racing on the apron. I know this may be allowed by the iRacing staff. Maybe not by the sporting code, but definitely by what's been posted in the forums. They allow you to overtake on the apron on like the front straight of Daytona, for instance. We're not going to allow that. It's going to be a very limited scenario anyway. So on the oval portions of any of these roval tracks, we allow two wheels to kind of drift down there because sometimes it's easy to dip down if you're running right on the line, but you need to come back up. But you can't use the apron to gain position or advantage on another driver. Obviously, this is kind of thrown out the window if you're doing it to avoid an incident. We're not going to punish anybody for that. And also during the race, all divisions are competing for the same track positions. There's only one set of points awarded. So basically what we have is one giant race and we have 3 leaderboards. If you are in the challenger division and you overtake a pro driver, you'll get points. You'll get more points for that higher position, and the pro driver will get less points for that lower position. Points are not division specific, so you're racing for the same space on track, the same points, the same places. So there is zero expectation that somebody from a lower class will be getting out of your way. So if you're in a pro and you're behind a challenger or an AM, there's no reasonable expectation for them to just get out of your way. And if you're in the lower class, do not feel obligated to get out of the other person's way. You may want to. It may be advantageous for you to do so. That's your call, but you're under no obligation to do so. It's an open setup series, as I mentioned in a previous rules update. For 40-minute races, fuel will be limited to 45%, and for 60-minute races, will be limited to 60%. Incident package has changed a little bit this season after a little bit of learning from last season. For 40 and 60-minute races, it's going to be the standard 17 incidents will get you a drive-through, and then every 8 incidents thereafter will get you another drive-through. This is controlled by iRacing. I have no way of controlling it, and we will not clear black flags for those. For 20-minute races, I've lowered the initial drive-through from 17 down to 9x, and then we will continue at every 8x after that. This was done largely because of the races at Olton Park. Some of the track limits were being abused because it was only a 20-minute race, and you had 17x before you got a penalty. So I thought it would be better to lower that. Since you're only going half time, you're getting just over half the incident points. Everybody knows about the 3 divisions, and we've kind of already enumerated the maximum IRs for each division. You'll be allowed 2 drop races per the season. We're using the IndyCar points. We're not using all the IndyCar bonus points, but we are using the IndyCar point system. I'm working with the scoring system people for the 20-minute races because I want to do half points for each 20-minute race. Unfortunately, the system only handles integers for the point numbers. So if you get 5 points, I have no way of assigning 2.5 points. So what will happen is you will get 2 points and a tiebreaker point. And I will go through the results after the event. And if you ended up with 2 half points, I'll give you a bonus point to add on to that so that you get the whole. So if you finish, for instance, if you finish in 3rd place twice, you would get 17 points for each finish, which would only be 34 points. But 3rd place should normally be 35 points. So if you finish in 3rd place twice, I will go in and add a bonus point so that you're at 35, the way you should be. If you don't finish in the same place twice, and you still manage to get 2 half points, I'm going to go ahead and add the point in. But if you just end up with a hanging half, I'm going to keep track of them, and they're going to be known as tiebreaker points. And that's what really all half points are for, is for breaking ties. So that'll be the first thing considered when breaking any tie for championship standings. Bonus points are going to work a little bit differently this season. If you qualify on pole position, you'll get 1 point, and if you lead the lap, you'll get 1 point, and that's the end of the bonus points. These are done for each division. So if you qualify on pole for your division, no matter where you start on grid, if you're the first one of your division, you'll get a bonus point. If you lead a lap for your division, no matter your actual place on track, you'll get a bonus point. The leading a lap bonus point happens 1 time. If you lead 1 lap, you get 1 bonus point. If you lead every lap, you get 1 bonus point. We have some tiebreaker stuff in the rules. I'm not going to go into detail on that. We've extended the prize pool out, as I mentioned earlier in a previous post in the Discord. So we're paying out to 5 places and cleanest driver for each division. There's also a $20 prize for most improved driver. That will be determined by the admins. So with the cleanest driver bonuses in mind, at the end of a race, your X's still count until everybody's crossed the line. So be careful about X's you take. Don't necessarily run into people until you know that the race is completely finished. Don't do things like that. And in fact, I would encourage you to not do anything. Don't go intentionally wrecking your car or wrecking into other people after crossing the finish line with the checkered flag, because sometimes it might inadvertently pull the broadcast camera away from an actual battle that's going on. Sometimes they have it set to focus on crashes, things like that. So after you cross the finish line, just continue on as long as you can safely. Pull over and reset, or just drive it around to the pits. Bathurst, obviously, we're all going to go do the jump afterwards. So once you cross the finish line, make your way to the top of the hill. Try to avoid getting any incidents, and just wait there. And once we have everybody together, we're going to go over the jump as a group. Such is the tradition. Penalties. The standard penalty during race is going to be drive-through penalty, mostly for incident responsibility. Any unsportsmanlike behavior will be awarded a 5-point penalty for the first offense in a race, and a 10-point penalty for any repeat offenses in the same race. Sometimes we will apply a time penalty in lieu of a drive-through penalty. Sometimes an incident isn't severe enough to warrant a complete drive-through penalty, so we may throw in a 5-second or 10-second post-race penalty. Or during the last 10 minutes of a race or 5 minutes of a race, we will quit actively investigating incidents and we'll automatically investigate them post-race. Or you may protest somebody after the race and we determine that there's a penalty, and then we'll give a time penalty equal to what a drive-through would be. Egregious incidents will be handled a bit differently and cumulatively with other incidents or other penalties. Things like intentional wrecking, repeat sportsmanship offenses, repeat rules infractions. These are very subjective. And when one of these penalties is given out, which I haven't yet, and I don't think I ever will have to, once you receive one of these egregious incident penalties, you'll be placed in a probation status, and that probation period will last for the next 5 official race sessions, even crossing seasons. If during this time another egregious incident occurs, you'll be parked for at least one race, and the probationary period will start over. Repeat egregious incidents may just get you kicked out of the league. Again, these are very subjective, and they will not be given lightly. It'll have to be pretty clear indication of some sort of, malicious intent or something like that. So don't sweat them. Basically, don't be an asshole, and we won't be an asshole to you. Again, never given one of those out. Don't think I ever will. This league has been phenomenally clean. So, at this point, does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
I got one. Are you not doing start zones anymore?
So we tried that out during the first season, and that's a good point I forgot to cover. We tried that out for
Ohio again.
Yeah. We tried out the start zones for 3 or 4 races at the beginning of this first season, and it was just overcomplicated. I didn't. The first few races had such clean starts that it didn't seem necessary to overcomplicate it. If we have issues with people not getting clean, if we have issues with repetitive, dirty starts, we may go back to implementing a start zone. But the way we're doing it now is like any iRacing official session. Once the pace car pulls off, the leader has control of the pack and may go at any point. And once the iRacing green flag flies, you can go, period.
Do you remember last season where we had an issue? I think it was Olton.
Yeah, last season there was an issue at Olton Park where somebody's monitor turned off during the start.
And they were at the front of the pack.
Yeah, they were like 5th or 6th. Yeah, that was unfortunate, and there's nothing that we can do to change that. Honestly, there's no rule that's going to make hardware work properly.
Can I ask?
Next time, are you going to restart the race? I know you talked about that. Or if that happens, it happens. We race it out.
The way it stands now, if it happens, it happens. There's no real way for me to restart the race short of scrapping the session and creating a new session. And we have a broadcast going on. It's not really prudent.
Okay.
In like a 20-minute race, like us reforming up the grid and doing things like that would be cumbersome. I may throw a caution or a virtual yellow flag where we can kind of catch back up. But honestly, it's road racing. Things happen. Life is unfair. Sometimes it's unfair to you.
I wanted to ask about when we do get the green flag, stay in your lane until you cross the start finish, then you can move?
No. Once the green flag, once the leader goes, you're allowed to go. I believe the iRacing software enforces no passing until the green flag flies. I'm not sure 100% on that. So until the iRacing green flag is displayed, pass at your own risk. If you get a black flag from iRacing for passing, and sometimes it's glitchy, and you think it's a glitch, you can bring it up, and I might clear it. But if it doesn't seem like it's obviously a glitch when I look at it, I'm not going to clear it. So when the leader goes, you can go. The car in front of you goes, you can go. When the green flag flies, you're free to pass.
Cool.
We did try that with the starting zones, and it was just needless investigation that took my attention away from things that were actually happening on track, and it was really unnecessary.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And that's another thing. If we bring back starting zones, we'll bring back that rule as well. That we're going to do the starting zones if and only if we have a lot of issues with unclean starts.
Now with Mid-Ohio, are you going to do a special start at Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, so we did do that last season, didn't we? I think we will. I think yes, at Mid-Ohio we will have a special start zone where the pace car will pull in. We will continue in a grid formation at Mid-Ohio through turn 1, through the keyhole, and as we come down the back straight, I will hand it over to the leader. The leader may go. I'll define a start zone for the leader. We're not going to do any special. You have to pass this line before you can pass. Once the leader goes, whom I will be watching, I will audibly say green flag. Once the green flag flies, race is hot. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, that is a special case that we're going to do there. And that's to reflect what they do in real life even. So. Any other questions?
Sorry, I might have missed this, but what were the tracks for the 20-minute races?
I did not say the tracks for the 20-minute races. The tracks for the 20-minute races will be, let me just make sure I'm confirming this. I want to make sure I say them in the right order. The first 20-minute doubleheader is Watkins Glen, which is the 4th round, and Summit Point, which is the second to last round.
Nice.
Regarding the schedule, I try to make the track selection a bit more slipstreamy, drafty. Our race at Watkins Glen last season was far and away our highest viewed race. I think partly because of track selection, and I think partly just because we had 4 or 5 cars under a blanket for the lead for almost the entire race. So it helps to put on a good show. The drafty tracks are good for racing, especially in this car. So there's still a mix of tracks where you're going to have to be good to stay in the draft, but there will be draft benefits on most tracks. Any other questions?
When does daylight savings change again?
I do not know.
Somewhere in November. And after 2023, never again.
Yeah, I think he's right.
Really?
Sometime in November. So I don't think we're going to have to mess with a daylight savings change during the season.
It was it Congress voted in 2023 to not do daylight savings anymore.
Oh.
Nice.
I remember seeing something about that. I didn't know if it actually passed or what. But somehow I suspect people will hate that just as much as they hate daylight savings time somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they'll start hating it when the sun doesn't rise until 9 a.m. in the middle of December.
Yeah, well, who knows? All right, well, if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and say that we're done here. So thank you, everybody, for showing up, and we'll see you on track.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Randall.
See you guys soon.
Thanks, Vinny.
I will not be in the practice server for a while. I have a broadcast to do. So I will be checking in to the practice server at some point, but it will probably be in the last 30 to 45 minutes.
When's it going up?
The broadcast that I'm doing?
Well, that and the
The race
practice.
server. The race server should be going up at the top of the hour.
Yeah, like
Or the
25
practice
minutes
server.
or so.
What are you broadcasting there, Finny?
What is tonight? I'm doing a league broadcast for the same company that's doing our broadcasts. The league is the Cross Series League Racing League.
Nice.
It's a they do all 4 disciplines. They're doing 4 weeks of road, 4 weeks of dirt oval, 4 weeks of regular oval, then 4 weeks of rallycross.
Their thumbnail was incredibly misleading. I wish they would run the Aston Martin GT4 on the dirt road tracks. That'd be freaking
They
sweet.
had phenomenal difficulties getting that screenshot.
I bet.
Yeah, because every time you jump off you pretty much anytime with the wing sprint car on an off-road track, as soon as you hit the jump, you take flight.
Yeah, that was crazy looking.
I don't remember which car it was they said they had the most problems with, but they had to keep pushing it back up the hill.
Oh, that sounds hilarious.
Hey, Finny, I have a random question.
Yeah.
So, is there anywhere that you recommend getting help with some setups for some of the races? I know the car doesn't have very much you can change, but sometimes that does make some dramatic. I have 6 kids at home, so I don't have time to fiddle around with a lot of settings. Do you know anybody that is posting those, or if there's a Discord for that, or is it just going to be, I have to figure it out? Which is fine.
There used to be a Discord for it, but I deleted it.
Okay.
Rip Finny McFinger Discord.
I can share with you my setup. I will say that I use the same setup everywhere. It's very rare that I make a change to it.
If it's the same setup you ran last year, I still have that one.
Yeah, I still use that setup.
It's a very OP setup. It's a very driver-oriented car. The setup is not really particular. It doesn't really affect the car.
Okay.
Unless you do some extreme changes on it.
About the only thing you can really affect is how it takes curbs.
Right.
I did soften up the rear suspension quite a bit, just so that the weight transfers to the back much faster, which makes it a bit more friendly on corner exit, so you can mash the throttle without spinning out.
Yeah, was it the bump stiffness or the rebound stiffness?
Yeah.
Like,
All right,
I think it's
well,
rebound.
I was just shooting that out there because, I know that once I got your setup last year, it made a huge difference for me, and made me a lot more competitive than I had been. But because I was just not losing the car and snap oversteer. So, but
what I would recommend to you is the biggest thing to mess around with on this car now that they've added a brake bias setting, is to find a brake bias that works for you. Were you getting snap oversteer on entry or exit?
Typically on exit.
Okay, well then that was definitely not brake bias.
That would just be a rebound of the shock, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you find that brake bias, it's good.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, and I also do now calibrate my pedals before every race, so I don't have another Bathurst incident. So
I have an issue with my pedals too, and it's only on certain cars. One of them being the Mustang, where sometimes the resolution is wrong, and whenever I push the pedal all the way, it only goes like 94%. And then if I push it just a little bit harder, somehow I get an extra little bit of travel out of the pedal. So I don't know if it's a hardware issue or a software issue.
Yeah, I had an issue with my Fanatec's. The plug from the bottom of the base of the pedals kept coming unplugged, and it was only during the Mustang because I was shifting so hard with the clutch.
Yeah.
I had to physically tape my pedals in.
Oh, wow.
Well, I was having issues with the Fanatec too. I literally had to switch back to a Thrustmaster shifter because the Fanatec shifter would pop out of gear and then go right back into gear, especially in fifth. So I had to switch back to the Thrustmaster shifter. So, but anyway, well, thank you, and thank you for running this. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to it every season. So.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder for me to stay in the stewarding trailer, to be honest with you.
Maybe it's time to charge a little bit more to us peons, and let's hire an official steward and let you race.
So we lost a significant amount of people from last season.
Did.
And I largely think it's because of the $10 entry fee. Some people just don't want to pay money. and think that they don't have a chance. Even though now that we have 3 divisions, I think most people have a pretty good chance.
And if they get really lucky, they may or may not be able to make that back with a certain bounty that certain amateur driver may or may not be putting out every week.
Yeah, I mean, and there's weekly prizes, so there's a way for you to make that money back easily.
Yeah, I mean, $10. If you have, I mean, if you're paying all that money to do iRacing in the first place, $10 is not going to break the bank.
Yeah, but we did lose a significant amount of people from last season. We also gained a bunch, so we had 41 registered, which is way more than I expected. I expected 30. I expected there to be a significant dip in participation with an entry fee, but I also expected it to be enough to still be what's considered a big field. Like anything over 20 Mustangs, I would consider a pretty big field.
Yeah.
So I was expecting about 30. I think if I raise it to 20, it'll go the way of the Dodo, like the Rick Motec League did.
Understood.
So that's why we're shopping. That's why I shop sponsors this, for this season as hard as I did, and I'm going to continue shopping hard for sponsors for future seasons because the scoring system is letting us use it for free again this season. They may give us a discount from being a sponsor in future seasons, but we're eventually going to have to pay for that, or I'm going to have to make my own. I think the cost is about the same either way of paying them or making my own. Paying them would be, money costs, and doing it myself would be time cost.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, sir. It's much appreciated, and here's to a good season.
Yeah, I love watching you guys. I'd love to find somebody I trust to hand off the stewarding to so I can come out and drive. And I hope during the preseason races that I established enough that I'm not just some jerk off sitting in the stewarding booth handing out penalties, that I actually know what I'm talking about and doing.
Yeah, you just forget to use your brakes sometimes. It's fine.
Hey, what's a little butt touch between friends?
Exactly.
I have never literally have not seen a bad call yet. So
I've made a couple bad calls. I've made a couple bad calls, and I've tried to do my best to correct them.
As long as they're all on Matt Malone, we're good.
Yeah, I should have mentioned this during the meeting. Just like you can file protests, you can file appeals. So if you feel like it was a bad call, I will take a look at it after the race sometime. Normally, what I'll do is I'll give it 48 hours to before I look at it again, to kind of like let my mind clear. And sometimes honestly, when I'm looking at things, I might hurry a little bit to try to get a call so that I'm not taking up 10 minutes to make a call on a penalty or on an incident. That way it's not like 10 minutes later you're like, well, what the hell, I didn't think that anything happened there, or I forgot even what happened 10 minutes ago, which is commonly true for me. So sometimes I may make a call a little too quickly, and if you think I got it wrong, you're open to appeal it. You don't have to post it publicly. You can send it to me in a DM, or you can post it in the protest and appeals channel publicly. Either one doesn't matter to me. I'll look at it again a couple days later, make sure I have a clear head and fresh eyes, and sometimes I'll even have somebody else look at it with me and see what somebody else thinks. But I do have another person in the booth with me, Ishmael. And normally during a race, what happens is he's my second pair of eyes. So when I'm looking at an incident, he's keeping a look on live action and keeping notes of any other further incidents that I need to look at. But sometimes I'll ask him for his opinion on things if I'm kind of on the fence. But most times, if I'm on the fence about something, it's just a racing incident.
Right.
But enough out of me. I got to get going.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.
See ya.
You going to VIR, Finney?
Yeah.
Oh man, I might have to go now.
Already bought my plane ticket and everything.
Oh shit.
I just realized it's only an hour and a half from my house. I was up there the other day.
Hell yeah, you should go in August.
I probably will. I was up there.
Actually, my dude that I'm going with is from Cary.
Yeah, you're going with TR.
TFR.
TFR, yeah.
Yeah, I drove up there the other day, and I actually they let me. It's like $10 to get in the gate, and they were doing superbike testing, and they just gave me. I could drive anywhere I wanted to go. Just don't enter the track. So that was pretty fucking cool. So, but get on to your broadcast. I could talk about that for a minute.
All right. See you guys.
Sweet.
I wish I could go. I'm
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, American Muscle Series. So we were just at the drivers' meeting before the season kicks off. Round 1 will be starting on this Tuesday. So let's jump in there for the first practice session, official practice session of the season. Let's hope we can get around Sandown, not make too many mistakes. We've driven the Spec Racer Ford today in the Weekend Warriors League over at Virginia International Raceway. Then we headed over to Summit Point in the Mazda MX-5 for the Rick Motec Classic Sprint Series practice. And now we are going to be driving in our Mustang. So we need to make sure we got our paint set real quick. We'll wait till we get into the session, but we're going to get our paint going. And yeah, everybody has a custom paint. It's kind of like the iRock style or SRX that you see now, where the driver's name is on the side of the car. The pattern of the paint determines whether you're in Pro, Am, or Challenger. So let's take a look here. We got to get the Extreme Motorsports paint program going once things launch into the session. So we'll do that real quick.
Radio check.
Spotter, radio check.
Come on, guys. Let's get this going. American Muscle Series, AMS FR500S, and here we go. All right, I know Mike is a little busy. Arrow's out of town on vacation. Let's see if we can get this car around here. Let's see how much fuel we have in the tank. 6.9, that's what we can take. So let's get out there with 6.9 and just put in some laps. Well, let's see. This should pop up with our league stuff. Okay, here we are. All right, let's get out there.
Pit lane speed limit is 37 miles per hour. Pit exit's clear. Don't cross the white line. Black flag will need to pit to serve this penalty.
All right, we'll come around.
You've got 3 laps to serve this penalty.
Sector 222.547.
Okay, we got to stop and go because we sped in pit lane just like we did on one of the practice races we had a couple weeks ago.
743.
What's your speed limit in the pits?
600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100,
Right here.
0.
Listo, vamos.
All clear. Push now.
Man, it's so easy to get pit lane penalties here.
Fastest lap for Little on 21.9. That's a new fastest lap for Meadows on 21.1.
Sector 222.172.
New fastest lap for Baker on 19.0.
Sector 333.
So we've got a pro in here, challenger, and a couple of AMs so far.
Sector 124.687. Sector 222.125.
Not sure why we had that little glitch all of a sudden. Little frame rate skip. See what kind of time we can start pulling out here.
Sector 332.827.
P2.
19.640 new fast
Good,
lap.
P2.
Delta to leader 0.629. P2. Laps of fuel 36. On lap 2. Sector 124.625.
Big thanks to Arrow for the setup and coaching. Hope you're having a good time on your vacation, man. And yeah, I look forward to having Mike in here too. Racing with Mike is always fun. Always a lot to learn. He handles traffic so well. Hope they're having a good dinner right now.
Sector 222.093.
You're a tenth off the pace in Sector 2.
P3 now. Damn, I lost a lot of time in final corners.
Sector 332.719.
P3.
119.4.
Sector 3 is 0.3 off the pace.
0.405. P3. Laps of fuel 23. On lap 3. Sector 124.468.
Sector 1 time is good.
Okay, that's feeling pretty good there. Hello? Hello?
Sector 222.014.
Maybe a little too cautious there. We lost time we should have kept and hung on to.
Sector 332.655.
P3.
You're now 0.1 off the pace.
Lap. Delta to leader 0.953. P3. Laps of fuel 22. On lap 4.
Don't want to get too crazy over time there.
Sector 124.437.
Sector 1 time's okay.
Getting a little bit of a squeak in our pedals. We're going to have to address that. Sitting P4 now.
Sector 221.968.
The leader has just done a 117.6.
All right, so letting the car flow through that section really helped us get some time back.
Sector 332.547.
That's your quickest lap in this session. You're currently 1.4 seconds off the pace. Sector 3 is 0.7 off the pace.
Laps of fuel 21.
The guy ahead's lap time is a 118.1.
Ran too wide.
Okay, Ed, we need to watch these track limits.
Sector 124.983. Sector 222.062.
Oh, much better. So we
The
got to
guy
get
ahead
off the
has just
brakes
posted
early
a
there to get the car
118.8.
through the corner.
Sector 332.235.
P4.
19.254. Delta
I'm sure Scotty Banks is the one sitting in second right now.
P4. Laps of fuel 20. On lap 6.
A little too late.
Sector 124.639.
Sector 1 is 0.8 off the pace.
Damn it. Come on.
Sector 222.500.
Yellow flag.
Sector 332.500. Lap time 119.644.
Sector 3 is 0.6 off the pace.
P4. Laps of fuel 19. On lap 7. Sector 124.500.
Sector 1 is 0.6 off the pace.
Come on, let's go. Good stuff here. Good lap. Come on, let's keep it moving. Let's hope this one works well for us. No, that felt good through there. We had grip. We weren't fighting the car either.
Sector 221.875.
You're a tenth off the pace in Sector 2.
Here we go. Something's loose. Come on, we're losing time.
Sector 332.062.
P3, good lap. That's your quickest so far. That puts you 0.9 off the leader's pace. That lap was a 118.4.
P3. Laps of fuel 18. On lap 8. Sector 124.500.
Sector 1 is 0.6 off the pace.
Man, I'm loving this car. Never thought I'd say that. But it is a lot of fun. I think we're going to have to come into the pits. We got to check to see what's going on. We have squeaky pedals. Hopefully nothing's coming loose.
Sector 221.906.
Damn it! Come on, don't miss gears.
Sector 332.702. Lap time 119.096. Delta to leader 1.5.
We're the fastest damn right now.
P3. Laps of fuel 17. On lap 9.
But we're definitely using up the tires more than we should.
Sector 124.827.
You're a second off the pace in Sector 1.
Brian got dropped. Upload packet loss.
Sector 221.954.
Track limits, keep it within the lines.
Oops. A little too hot into that one.
The car ahead has just done a 117.9.
Damn, they're flying. Okay, let's come into the pits here real quick.
743.
Look out for the pit speed limit.
600. 500. 400. 300. 200. 100.
Right here.
0. Lap time 128.128. Delta to leader 10.554. P3. Laps of fuel 16. On lap 10.
Well, let's keep it going, I guess, for a few more laps. We've got about 30 minutes left that we will be able to practice. Oops, we were trying to turn it off. Let's get it started again.
Pit exit's clear. Yellow flag, keep your wits about you, mate.
Sector 222.031. Sector 333.375.
P3.
6.833. Delta to leader 49.260. P3. Laps of fuel 15. On lap 11. Sector 124.437.
Sector 1 is 0.6 off the pace.
Sector 222.250.
Sector 2 is 0.4 off the pace.
Sector 332.407.
You're now 1.5 seconds off the leader's pace. Sector 3 is 0.6 off the pace.
521. P3. Laps of fuel 14. On lap 12.
Mind these track limits, please, Ed.
Sector 124.389. Sector 221.922.
On your right, clear right.
Sorry, man.
Yellow flag, watch out.
Try to get it slowed down there, Kenny. Sorry, buddy.
You're good. I screwed up that turn.
742.
Cool. Thank you.
Watch your speed.
600. 500. 400. 300. 200. 100.
Right here.
0. Lap time 135.018. Delta to leader 17.445. P3. Laps of fuel 13. On lap 13.
Your exit's clear. Don't cross the white line.
So you just have to do very light trail braking through there, and then it'll get the Mustang rotated. I need to remember to feel for the ABS kicking on. There it kicked on a little bit, and we came off the brake. Car's balanced. Good grip.
Sector 222.077.
during the race, I'm gonna have to remember to not speed in pit lane. We're gonna have to practice that a little bit more too.
P3. Laps of fuel 12. On lap 14. Sector 124.327.
Sector 1 is 0.4 off the pace.
Let's get some more time out of her, come on.
Sector 221.922.
Your sector 2 time is quick. The car in front has just posted a 117.8.
Sector 332.234.
118.4.
You're currently
Oh, yeah.
0.9 off the pace. Sector 3 is 0.4 off the
It's an
pace.
improvement.
P3. Laps of fuel 11. On lap 15. Sector 124.562.
Sector 1 is 0.7 off the pace.
Sector 221.968.
Sector 2 time is good.
Oh no, Jay. We lost Jay there.
Sector 332.530.
That puts you 1.5 seconds off the pace.
Delta to leader 1.491. P3. Laps of fuel 10. On lap 16. Sector 124.516.
Sector 1 is 0.6 off the pace.
I gotta get my shifts down properly too. Can't be missing gears. But my best so far has been a 119 flat. I thought it was a 118.
Sector 221.968.
That's weird.
Engage the limiter.
600. 500. 400.
I guess we're gonna have to check anyway. See what's going on here. Session best lap is what we want. Damn it, I don't know why it changed. Alright, let's see. Yeah, my best lap's been a 118.4. Obviously I'm not pro, but I'm top AM right now. Let's hope we can keep it moving this way. Here we go. Let's try to take a little fuel out of the car and see what it feels like on 2.1 gallons. See if that carries us over to the end of the session that we have.
Watch your mirrors, there's a car approaching. 10 minutes of fuel remaining.
Wow, when the car is really light, it's going to be easy to spin it, so I got to be careful. Cold tires, light fuel, it's going to be tough right now, but you know, with worn tires and light fuel, we're pretty much looking at almost the same thing.
Sector 222.218. Sector 332.500.
Thank you.
Clear left.
Despejado a la izquierda.
Track limits.
Sector 124.641.
Thank you.
Sector 221.843.
All right, let's try to get a good lap here. Warmed up tires. Hopefully it's warm by now.
Sector 332.202.
Minuto 18.
Lap time 118.685. Delta to leader 1.111. P3. Laps of fuel not available yet. On lap 2. Sector 124.375.
Sector 1 is 0.5 off the pace.
Sliding around a little bit still. I mean, that's why we were so kind of out of control there. Turn 1, yeah, it was a little stabby, not smooth with it. But at the same time, the car still feels like it's sliding around.
Sector 221.985.
Damn it. Bouncing on the curb.
Tienes combustible como para 5 vueltas.
Yeah, to try to be smoother this time.
32.172. Lap time 118.531.
Sector 3 is 0.3 off the pace.
P3. Laps of fuel 7. On lap 3. Sector 124.343. Sector 221.954.
Look out for the pit speed limit. Watch the track limits. Please head.
118.441. Delta to leader 0.868.
That's half fuel. You've used half your fuel.
On lap 4. Sector 124.327.
Damn it. Understeered a little on that exit. We were having a good run so far. That's too bad.
Sector 222.406.
Sector 2 is 0.6 off the pace.
Sector 332.030. Lap time 118.773.
Sector 3 is 0.2 off the pace.
P3. Laps of fuel 3. On lap 5. Sector 124.360. Sector 222.045.
You're 0.2 off the pace in Sector 2.
Te queda combustible para 2 vueltas.
Sector 332.094. Lap time 118.488.
Okay, Ed, very little fuel left. In this lap, box this lap. That's half a gallon of fuel left. You're 0.2 off the pace in Sector 3. You'll delete this lap, you've cut the track.
Sector 125.875. Sector 222.093.
We're running on fumes, mate. Hit this lap, in this lap.
Te queda combustible para una vuelta.
700.
What's your speed limit in the pits?
Pit boxing 10,
500. 400.
5,
300.
3,
200.
2,
100.
right here.
0. Lap time 128.327.
Fuel.
Delta to leader 10.753. P3.
The leader has just done it on
20
17.3.
minutes remaining here. Tires. Standings. Timing.
Todo despejado, muévete.
Your exit looks clear. Stay behind the line. Yellow flag.
Tenido a la izquierda.
Sector 222.312.
Coche lento adelante.
Yellow flag.
Pasa a la derecha.
Sector 332.639.
Minutos.
Lap time 205.877. Delta to leader 48.537. P3. Laps of fuel 41. On lap 8.
The guy ahead has just done a 117.7.
Sector 124.547.
I early apex that one a little too much. But hopefully if anybody's watching, you can see the gears I'm using and how I'm applying the brake and throttle and steering inputs.
Sector 222.062.
Sector 2's 2/10 off the pace.
That was a little too abrupt, too much brake, but I didn't want to run wide. Still lost time though.
$740.
So I need to try to be a little smoother through there.
You're currently 1.6 seconds off the pace. Sector 3 is 0.7 off the pace.
P3. Laps of fuel 40. On lap 9. Sector 124.579.
Oops, a bit sloppy through all that section.
Sector 222.187.
Sector 2 is 0.3 off the pace.
Sector 331.906.
That puts you 1.3 seconds off the leader's pace. Sector 3 is 0.3 off the pace.
Laps of fuel 37. On lap 10. Sector 124.452. Sector 221.922.
Sector 2 time is okay.
Sector 331.906.
That's your quickest lap in this session. You're now 0.9 off the pace. Your lap time was at 118.3.
P3. Laps of fuel 23. On lap 11. Sector 124.250.
Sector 1 is 0.4 off the pace.
Come on, let's get that time.
Sector 222.045.
Sector 2 is 0.2 off the pace.
Damn, went too deep in there, overbraked. Not smooth.
Sector 332.015.
That puts you 1.0 seconds off the leader's pace. You've just done a 118.3.
P3. Laps of fuel 22. On lap 12. Sector 124.625. Sector 222.000. Sector 332.297.
You're now 1.6 seconds off the pace. Sector 3 is 0.6 off the pace.
P3. Laps of fuel 21. On lap 13. Sector 124.531.
Sector 1 is 0.7 off the pace.
Sector 222.077.
Sector 2 is 0.2 off the pace.
Too late on the brakes there.
Alright Ed, we need to watch the track limits. Watch your speed. Engage limiter.
600.
Pitboxing 10,
500.
I think we're gonna call it for today.
400.
5,
300.
3,
200.
2,
100.
right here.
Lap time 128.103. 0.
Vamos, vamos, vamos.
Have a good one, guys.